thing that's kind of funny is like generational wealth to people from some areas of the world is like so out of reach.
Generational wealth for some people, it's absolutely insane. It just keeps on going.
As a culture, we really got to stop glorifying getting it out the mud.
Hey everybody, how you doing today?
Welcome back to the channel.
So today we're talking about wealth of the generations.
Generational wealth.
Because before we talk about generational debt, I don't have that. I'm glad I don't have that, but I wish I had generational wealth.
Mm-hmm.
Even though at the end of the day, people would talk about this mess like it's something you can use all the time. It's not. It's something that you have on the back end. At the end of the day, a lot of finance stuff is just the back end things you have just in case.
Yeah, it usually is. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
But you can always work to get there sometimes. Most of the time, maybe.
Unless you get screwed out of it at one point, then you got to start all over.
Yeah, that really sucks. But that's life.
That's life.
But we should all strive to leave our generations behind us something.
Yeah.
As a culture, we really got to stop glorifying getting it out the mud. The fact that your parents didn't pass you anything worthwhile is not a flex. And I'm saying this as someone who technically got it out the mud. But I don't see myself better or more respectable than somebody that started with $1 million. And it's hilarious because as a culture, we always talking about generational wealth. But we try to down talk somebody that actually came from money. What sense does that make? We take way too much pride in the fact that our parents didn't handle business and we had to struggle to get it, which is backwards as hell. And how y'all think y'all parents feel when they see y'all talking like that? I couldn't imagine my daughter in 20, 25 years being online talking about my parents was broke as hell. They ain't have nothing. What?
Alright, so I get it, but also I'm going to be I truly do feel like I'm on the opposite side of his little statement here. Because I will say this, I generally do have a little bit more respect, actually probably even more respect, of someone who worked really hard to get their stuff out, to get out of their stuff, than someone who had to work a little bit less. I'm going to be real. That's just me. Because, when you have a lot of money in your life, you have multiple opportunities to mess up. When you have no money in your life, you mess up, that could be the end of it.
That's true.
So, that's what I'm seeing it as. But, that's just me.
I guess it's more relatable when they have to go through the same experiences as you, but still, I just feel like at least someone put in the work, but I don't think that the generation after them should just sit back and not do anything. I feel like they should use the money wisely because the money isn't always going to last forever, and if y'all don't use it appropriately, then and responsibly too, because if you don't, the money could be gone really quickly.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, someone who comes from money, they got to prove that they can do the work really more to people. Because you had this before. People who had no money and did it, they proved they had the work ethic and they did it. But you have not proven nothing to me because you came from it.
Exactly.
That's how I see it as.
But still, even if they came from it, I feel like even if you have you have the space to mess up, I guess.
Yeah.
You should still have a work ethic.
Yeah.
And it really shouldn't stop you from pursuing things and contributing to society.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. But it's really not a flex to be I'm not gonna leave my kids anything. I feel like you should at least try. Yeah. Even though it's a struggle out here, so not everyone can.
Yeah, because I would say this: it truly is kind of a flex that my parents messed up my life completely, but I somehow got out of it better. It is a flex. That's what he's talking about. It kind of is.
It depends on how you look at it.
Yeah, you can say my dad was broke. I got money though. He worked as hard as he can, but I made sure we could do it. That's good. Not like my mom was a broke bastard, and then she smoked. No, I'm not gonna start saying that. But yeah.
Yes, leave your kids wealth, I guess.
Exactly.
black tax notion is hindering the black community at its chances of generational wealth. If you're not familiar with what black tax is, it's quite simply the notion of the black community, black individuals, paying towards their elderly counterparts, be it a parental figure, grandparents, family members, anybody who falls under the bracket of having looked after you. The act in itself is not limited to the black community, but the term black tax does refer to that notion specifically for the black community. It only takes doing your Googles to find a plethora of research that speaks about black tax, generational wealth, and one thing that you'll continuously see is the black community being outperformed by our white and Asian counterparts. Of course, there are a number of measures that contribute to what we deem to be generational wealth, for example, owning houses outright. However, the common denominator, black community, still at the bottom of that table in comparison to our white and Asian counterparts. Now, I am privileged to have not fallen a victim to black tax for a number of reasons. I didn't have to contribute to rent or household bills, and that was true till I moved out of my family home. What I will say is that I learned to manage myself financially from a very young age, so I was relatively independent in that respect, but it's no comparison to individuals who have had to pay towards their parents' mortgage, pay towards rent, household bills, etc., etc. The likelihood is you are either someone who has fallen victim of black tax or you know someone who has fallen victim of black tax. Now, it is a very circumstantial topic because namely everybody has different circumstances, everyone has different setups and reasons why they might have to pay towards their parents' mortgage, towards rent, household bills, etc., etc. But it is hindering our community. That remains true even in the light of different circumstances. So as much as the community loves to talk about generational wealth this, generational wealth that, how much of a reality is generational wealth when majority of the community are still contributing to what their parents are trying to attain for themselves financially or are yet to attain for themselves financially versus focusing on what their future financial self will look like, not just for themselves, but also for their future children, essentially for generations to come. Do I understand the reason why the black community paid backwards towards their parents and elderly figures? Absolutely. Do I stand by it? Absolutely not. And again, I have to reiterate, I'm conscious of the fact there are many different circumstances, and so what I'm saying might resonate with some and might not resonate with others. That is absolutely fine. But I have always maintained the view that there are so many ways that we can contribute to our parents' financial well-being and future financial self without bearing the burden of actually paying towards it financially and hindering our own financial future. This is an infographic I made and posted on Finance Message UK a while back, and it's just a series of topics and conversation starters that individuals could have with their parents, but this is something that the black community could adopt very well. Speaking to your parents about their pensions, speaking to them about life insurance, speaking to them how they can manage the current outstanding debt. There is a lot of information that us as a generation now are a lot more privy to and exposed to, that we understand a lot more versus our parental figures, and we can do them the honours of bringing them into that and helping them towards their future financial self without actively paying towards it. You will be surprised how many of our parents do not have a sizable amount in their pension pot, haven't been paying towards their pension or not paying enough towards their pension in order to sustain themselves when retirement comes knocking on the door. You'll also be surprised how many of our parents do not have life insurance. Even more so, you'll be so surprised at how many of our parents have outstanding debt to their name that is racking up an incredible amount of interest, effectively making it impossible for them to clear that debt before their time comes. And these are the conversations that we could be having with our parents, gathering the information that we have and are more exposed to in this day and age, and relaying that back and helping them get themselves in the best financial position to prepare for their financial future, without actually having to bear the financial burden of covering rent, paying towards the mortgage, paying house bills, when you yourself could be preparing for a secure financial future and generational wealth, like owning your property outright. You absolutely do not have to take on the role of financial advisor, but you can kickstart these conversations and maybe get a financial advisor to help your parents set themselves up for their future financial self. Again, I don't say any of what I've said without the appreciation of different circumstances, but the black tax notion is hindering the black community at its chances of generational wealth. Until there is a twist and turn in how we view black tax, how we approach it, and how we speak up and say no, generational wealth will see the black community at the bottom of the league. I am interested to hear other people's opinions and thoughts. Are you a victim of black tax? How have you approached black tax? Do you think it's right for the black community to continue to pay towards their parents' financial self? I want to know what people think. It's such an interesting and delicate topic, but until that notion has been addressed and we see some changes, generational wealth for our community, unfortunately, is not climbing the ranks. It's just not.
I'm not going to get into it, but generational wealth in the black community will always be behind every other community, and that's for a lot of historical reasons, but I'm not going to get into that. You can do your own research for that. When it comes to this thing, I do see a lot, but what else can you really do? We can just say, yeah, you can just say, hey, yeah, Dad, I'm not going to let my mom starve. I ain't going to let her medicine run out. I'm going to be real with that. I shouldn't have to pay her bills, but she needs help. I'm going to help her.
Exactly. That's just how society is now, because I feel like everything runs on people being in debt. And then if you're not in debt, then you just can't get the things that you need. So it's more like a society issue, and like also the interest issue too, because these companies are really out here scamming with all these interest rates.
Yeah, they really are. And also, here's the thing too. I'm not like the most knowledgeable person to speak on this, but in the Asian community, most definitely, they take care of their parents.
They do.
They live in the same house. They almost live in the same house almost all the time. They are always there for them. So the fact that it's not no tax that is doing like their generational wealth is they're just we're in a better position and they take care of their families.
Yeah,
And that's about it. And there's no tax. You don't hear no black tax for them or nothing.
for real.
This is they just have the resources.
It's really just the debt that destroys the generational wealth because that's when it turns into generational debt. And it's more like a mindset because the parents are in debt and so they teach that to the kids and then the kids think that to get everything that they need they have to go into debt and then it just continues from there.
Yeah, and it's this deeper than just black community because of black tax. For a lot of if for every community, it's way deeper than that. This is just a face like cosmetic value that's causing it. There's a lot more.
Because I feel like the thing that ruins the black community is just like the mindset about money. And especially that a lot of black people did not come from money.
Yeah.
So that once they get money, they're out here like blowing it on things that they don't need and not using it wisely. And so they get put back into where they started from. And so it's just not making it better. So I feel like if the mindset changes, then we could still pretty much have the same results.
Yeah,
Successful.
because historically we came from legitimately nothing, and we didn't even get the things that we were supposed to get to help us start more communities ourselves. And then when we did, they were all gone all of a sudden because they made a lot of rules against it. So it's like it's deeper than this. Also, she's British, so she wouldn't know that.
But still, I think though that she is onto something about having these conversations with your parents.
Most definitely.
Because a lot of parents are actually financially illiterate. So if you can learn it as a child and teach your parents this, then they could at some point eventually like get out of debt and get in a better financial situation.
Yeah, I just want to add one more thing to it. I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna say this: when it comes to black people making businesses or investing in businesses, they like a lot of us do know what we're doing, but a lot of us don't. That's going to leave that face value. I'm not going to explain to it. No nuance. Just take it how it is.
Just look up lashes, hair, makeup. It's a whole buzz about it right now with the appointments being like really unprofessional. And then like the black owned businesses, a lot of those, they really have the prices that are not reflecting of their community.
I would like to have someone in my community that I can, relate with better. I like to support them. I'm not paying $50 for your Bugs Bunny just sprayed on paint shirt, bro.
No thanks.
Hello? Oh.
One thing that's kind of funny is like generational wealth to people from some areas of the world is like so out of reach. Like when I hear some people say like, yeah, when my grandpa went to college, your grandpa went to college? What? Every person I've ever met, they're like, yeah, my grandpa dropped out of school so he could chop wood and lay bricks. I have never met, I was like, wow. And they're like normal middle class people, but it's like certain areas of the country, I guess, are just so different. Whose grandpa in Louisiana done went to college unless he's a doctor or like in charge of the oil rig, you know?
And here's the thing that people don't realize. What I was saying earlier with all the other communities, generational wealth comes from a certain spot. You had to have, like, someone in your family had to have at least something going on for them and stuff. A lot of people in America didn't go to college. A lot of people's grandparents did not go to college. When they had to pay for that mess, they couldn't go.
Exactly.
People in America have been broke since like the 1800s.
And even now, whether you go or you don't, you're pretty much screwed either way. And it's kind of leaning to the point where it might be better to just not go because the interest rates are getting ridiculous. And then like the cost, like tuition goes up pretty much every year and it's just crazy.
Yeah, truly, people don't realize this. College is a rich man's sport. It truly always has been. Well, at least when they started charging for that mess, but you know.
My grandpa did not go to college. He did not even go to high school. I'm pretty sure he only has like a third grade education. Well, he had only a third grade education. He's dead. But it's so funny.
Continue.
Well, yeah, that's all I had to say about that. But
well, he had one. He's dead. Anyway. let's go to the next video, man. I got nothing else to say now. What's going on there?
So there's a famous saying that goes, the first generation builds wealth, the second generation maintains it, and the third generation will lose it. I've seen this exact same scenario play out many times where a super high net worth family with multi-generational wealth get to a point where their kids aren't taught financial literacy, they aren't taught the work ethic, they aren't taught the principles of money and the principles of wealth creation, and they know how to spend money, but they don't know how to make it. What I want you to take out of this is that being born into wealth does not guarantee anything. Your financial situation says more about what you choose to focus on and whether or not you understand the principles of money. So
Yeah, because recently I think I saw in like some news. It's like, was it the Walmart family? It's definitely the Vanderbilts. One of the family, like millionaire corporation families, they're losing a lot of money like fast. It's like blood loss at this point, and it's funny because like once again, as I said before, I'm not saying you're always going to be rich if you have rich person money in your family. I'm just saying you have a lot more chances, and they're ruining all their chances.
Exactly. Like, especially if I came from money, I would not just be sitting at home doing nothing. This is why a lot of rich people are bored and then they just go and spend it like crazy. Like, I would be building a lot of other businesses and then like maintain and grow that wealth even more.
Yeah, and that's why I don't get nepotism because it never really turns out well. And at certain points, if I'm rich, say I'm rich, I have a company, $1 billion company. I refuse to let my kids touch that mess unless they get their act together. They gotta go to college. They gotta get some doctorates. They gotta learn the business. They gotta start from the bottom. I'm not letting them just hop in because all businesses have done that. I'm not letting my kids just hop in. You're not going to ruin this for me.
Yeah, that's how businesses get ruined because they're not even teaching their kids how to run the business. Like, they need to know these things.
Yeah. What was it like the Jimmy Dean? Well, I know Jimmy Dean's is still fine, but one of the Jimmy Dean family members got arrested for like DUI. Bro, why you DUI and you're part of the biggest sausage family in the world.
I feel like they don't understand the opportunities they have at their hands. They never have to work for anyone else. They can start all of the businesses that they want, and they're not doing it.
Yeah. I'm not letting my kids hop into business. They better start making something of their own.
How it should be.
Exactly.
Generational wealth for some people, it's absolutely insane. It just keeps on going. Even at this stage of my life, it just like, oh my God, it just doesn't stop. It started out, okay, your parents paid for college, fine. Then they paid for your apartment in the city and grad school. Then it's all right, you're launched, you're good, right? Nope. You get married, they pay for most of the wedding, and then they give you a down payment for a house. You'd think that's it, right? Like, all right, now you're launched. You got a spouse, a house, ready, set. No. You have the kids, and they're helping you pay for daycare, and then they're helping you pay for private school and camp. Like, how much money do your parents have? It's unbelievable.
And that's the reason a lot of people don't like them. Not be real. I don't like it sometimes too. They will complain about like, oh man, this mess is crazy, this, that, and third. Like, yeah, it's crazy. You had help with like everything.
Exactly.
So if someone else could like people like, oh, I don't want no handouts. The government should be getting no handouts. But then like your entire life has just been private family handouts.
I just feel like it gets to the point. The only time like I really wouldn't like it is if they're not grateful for the opportunities that they have and they're treating it as like they're in such a horrible situation. And it's like, look at the people out here that don't have money. But I don't think it's anything to be ashamed of if you came from money.
Yeah.
It should be shameful if you're not using it correctly and then you just kind of constantly just get thrown into it even though you're behaving horribly. It's like that's spoiled privileged material right there.
It's not the fact you get it. That does kind of suck to other people, but like, what are we gonna do about it? That's your life. You have the right to have that. That's your privilege. It's when you act like that your privilege didn't help you out, and when you like try to like, oh, why you want this, that? Like, you don't have really, you have a say in it, you have an opinion in it, but it doesn't need to be listened to because you had so much more than everyone else has.
Yeah, that's true.
That sucks, but that's what it is.
Exactly. Just use money wisely. That's how it should be in any class that you're in economically.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's getting smaller and smaller, man. It's like, ooh, rich people getting richer and richer, and middle class people starting to get poorer.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Change the mindset. You could beat it no matter how much you make. If you have a different mindset and you're out here spending responsibly, you could beat it no matter what.
Yeah. Anyway, that's it for me. From me for the video. Oh, you want to outro it, or you got more to say?
Right, generational wealth. Anyway. Also, my grandpa was a farmer. That's why he only had a third grade education. Just saying.
Makes sense.
Yeah, but anyway, thank you for watching the video. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and share the video. And please get us to 1,000 subscribers.
Yeah. That's it. Bye, guys.
Bye.